Embark on a mesmerizing journey back in time to the heart of ancient Egypt. Together we shall delve into the secrets concealed within stones that have witnessed millennia. The dazzling bent pyramid of Dashur, with its uniquely angled faces, rivals even the Great Pyramid of Giza in its enigmatic allure and singular characteristics. Sadly, this pyramid is often underestimated in the field of Egyptology. It is often viewed primarily as a flawed construction, a testament to the supposed lack of understanding of grand architectural principles among the ancient Egyptians. The criticism aimed at the bent pyramid often stems from the question of why Pharaoh Sneferu felt compelled to construct the Red Pyramid so soon after, or even concurrently. However, dismissing the bent pyramid as a failure solely based on its unusual shape is fundamentally inaccurate. Judging the past through a contemporary lens is a historical fallacy that applies particularly well here. The prevailing theory suggests that Sneferu's bent pyramid was the first to incorporate a smooth, angled outer casing, intended to give the structure its true pyramidal form. While the Meidum pyramid may predate it, archaeological evidence indicates it was initially built as a step pyramid, similar to the one found at Saqqara. Corner-facing stones were added later, a crucial detail. This addition reveals that comparing the bent pyramid to later, more conventional pyramids can be misleading. At the time of its construction, it was the only monument that had even a remotely triangular shape. To label the bent pyramid a failure would be unfair. Instead, it should be seen as a unique kind of success. Strikingly, the Sun temples of the 5th dynasty, built around 100 years later, featured central structures that blended the bent pyramid silhouette with the shape of an obelisk. The bent pyramid, often the subject of discussions about its unusual shape, holds far more intriguing secrets within its corridors and chambers. The change in the angle of its outer walls is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the monument's fascinating features. Unfortunately, this pyramid from the 4th dynasty remains one of the least explored. For much of the 20th century, access was restricted due to its proximity to military installations. It was only recently in 2019 that the pyramid was opened to the public, revealing some of its hidden mysteries. The pyramid stands as a unique repository of secrets, beckoning exploration into its intricate structure. Your curiosity can guide future investigations, revealing which aspects pique your interest most. My quest to unravel this enigmatic construction has been significantly aided by invaluable resources. Profound gratitude is extended to the Isida Project for their generous provision of interior photographs, captured before the pyramid's restoration aimed at attracting tourists. Regrettably, this transformation has obscured many crucial details from view. On the northern face of the bent pyramid, a rare sight greeted us. One of the few remaining pyramid entrances, untouched by the ages. The sheer size of the lintel stone above the opening challenges the common belief that Old Kingdom pyramid entrances were deliberately concealed. This colossal block, positioned nearly 12 meters above the ground, would have been easily visible from the desert floor. Over time, the massive lintel has sagged ever so slightly under its immense weight, a shift evident in the neighboring stones. Throughout the bent pyramid, both inside and out, one can observe similar instances of displacement and cracking, silent testaments to the relentless passage of time. Whether the ancient Egyptians viewed these imperfections as a significant issue remains a mystery. The notion of the bent pyramid as a flawed structure hinges on this very assumption. Remarkably, the entire construction has stood for over 4,500 years, and it seems unlikely to crumble anytime soon. Immediately upon entering the descending corridor, intriguing details catch the eye. High on the wall, a large round niche is visible, and just beyond it, a cutout is carved into the ceiling. The mystery of a phantom doorway lingers in the ancient stones. A debate echoes among Egyptologists. Did a pivoting door once guard this passage? Was it a later addition by restorers, or merely a figment of imagination? Around the entrance to Menkaur's pyramid, casing stones remain, hinting at a threshold, and a telltale fissure marks the ceiling. Within the bent pyramid's sloping corridor, a portion of the original floor is notably absent. Intriguing steps are embedded in the lower masonry, their secrets partially obscured by modern wooden stairs. Within the ancient walls, several indentations mark the passage of time, crudely filled in during modern renovations. These recesses might have served as anchor points for timbers and ropes, facilitating the movement of heavy objects up and down the corridor. Descending further at a depth of approximately 12.5 meters, a substantial collapse of masonry captures our gaze. A continuous seam in the corridor has shifted downward by 23 centimeters in the outer section, nearest to the entrance. This point of ruin is the most conspicuous imperfection within the entire pyramid, and is often cited as primary evidence that the construction was deemed a failure. On the ceiling's shifted lintel, a subtle imperfection caught the eye. Roughly 3 centimeters had been chipped from the stone, as if an earlier minor misalignment was being addressed. 20 centimeters of the protruding rock remained, an amount easily removed to restore the corridor's smooth line, yet the task was abandoned. Why the ancient Egyptians left this seemingly simple correction unfinished remains a mystery, fueling endless speculation. 11 meters below the compromised ceiling, a descending passage plunged into the bedrock, burrowing deep beneath the earth. This corridor continued its unwavering descent, ultimately reaching a depth of nearly 30 meters below the desert's surface. The mystery lingers. Was this descending passage carved into the bedrock, mirroring the Great Pyramid's construction, or excavated from an open trench? As one ventures deeper, the corridor's stonework shows increasing decay, likely caused by trapped humidity. At the passage's end, the ceiling subtly rises, designed perhaps to facilitate the movement of large objects during a change in direction. Here, roughly 30 meters beneath the surface, lies the bent pyramid's central enigma. The corridor extends horizontally for about 5 meters, but the ceiling soars upwards, reaching a height of over 12 meters. Its ascent subtly narrowing through a series of small, supporting consoles that form the roof. A modern staircase veils a flat, vertical wall of bedrock that descends deep into the earth. What drove the ancient Egyptians to carve such an extensive tunnel into the earth, only to reverse its course and ascend once more? The architecture here is hauntingly reminiscent of the Grand Gallery within the Great Pyramid. A high, narrow ceiling that defies easy explanation. The passage climbs skyward, mirroring the descent that came before. Yet perhaps the most intriguing mystery lies in the state John Shea Perring found this corridor in the year 1839. Perring faced a challenge, clearing a descending corridor choked with sand and debris. At the corridor's base, a space unveiled itself, filled with small stone blocks forming a steep staircase, reminiscent of modern wood constructions. The stone staircase, built from roughly hewn blocks and mortared to the walls, was more than just a pile. It posed a question. Was this masonry part of the original construction, a later alteration, or the result of restoration efforts? The tall corridor may have originally served as a barrier to entry, much like the vertical ascent in the upper chamber of the Red Pyramid, acting as a deterrent. The addition of the stone staircase seemed more for show than practicality. On the south side, slender corbels gave way to a chamber some 23 feet above the original floor level, before the stone staircase was even built. This room, known as the lower chamber, is striking with its 56-foot ceiling, adorned with an elegant corbelled vault on all 4 sides. 15 courses of corbel stones, reaching toward the sky, meet to form the hall's roof. Despite the impressive height of the lower chamber, only the upper 2 or 3 courses of the structure might exceed the natural bedrock. Beneath the sands, much of the structure remains concealed, akin to a secret treasure buried deep within the earth. John Perring unearthed several small stone blocks scattered across the floor of the lower chamber. Remnants, perhaps, of the ancient builders. The enigmatic room within the pyramid continues to perplex researchers. Its true purpose is still unknown, but the most common theory suggests it may be an abandoned burial chamber. This idea stems from the existence of another, slightly grander room located higher up within the pyramid structure. Deep within the pyramid's heart, a lower chamber lay dormant, its abandonment owing not to any structural flaw. Carved almost entirely from the bedrock itself, the chamber's ceiling was a masterpiece of ancient engineering, constructed with interlocking, cantilevered blocks. This ingenious design distributed weight evenly, eliminating lateral pressure and ensuring exceptional stability. The cantilevered blocks themselves stood as a testament to the builder's skill, their sharp angles and minimal fissures speaking volumes of their mastery. Once adorned with delicate limestone slabs, the walls now bore the marks of time and intrusion, many panels lost forever. Etched within the walls were countless indentations, clearly intended as anchor points for scaffolding or to aid in lifting immense weights to the pyramid's upper reaches. Some indentations are meticulously filled, while others gape with emptiness, and still others appear barely started, as if the intent behind them never fully materialized. Detailed documentation analyzing these specific indentations remains elusive, leaving one to speculate about the purpose of each. On the southern side of the lower hall, opposite the northern entrance, another doorway presents itself. A short 2-meter corridor abruptly ends, revealing the entrance to a narrow ascending shaft, often referred to as the chimney. This shaft, approximately 15 meters in height, nearly reaches the full height of the lower chamber. It's estimated that the chimney's uppermost point aligns roughly with the pyramid's base, where it meets the surrounding bedrock. However, this chimney appears to lead nowhere, terminating abruptly at a ceiling formed by 2 massive limestone slabs. The shaft presents a rectangular shape, measuring approximately 1.5 meters in length and 0.9 of a meter in width, making it slightly more spacious than the pyramid's conventional passageways. Within the chimney, at a height of 4 meters, a small ledge juts out from the western wall, extending 75 centimeters deep. On this ledge, a Tura limestone block still rests, tilting precariously toward the gaping opening. Just inches away, a mere foot from the first, another ledge juts out, perfectly positioned to topple a limestone block and seal off the chimney's ascent. 20 feet further up the shaft, a second pair of projections awaits, designed to release yet another of these stone barriers. Here, a subtle shift in design is evident. The eastern ledge lies deeper than its western counterpart, clearly intended as the primary support for the missing stone. Within the majestic limestone edifice looming in Upper Tura, a void echoes where history has been torn away. Only faint memories whisper of its former grandeur, as a significant portion of this ancient giant has vanished into the mists of time. No photograph has ever captured the interior of this enigmatic space. As if that weren't enough, within the labyrinthine stone corridors lies a peculiar well to nowhere. And adjacent to it, a small, expertly crafted aperture connects the well to a lower chamber. This has been dubbed the window. This narrow passage, approximately 2 meters in height and widening to 0.9 of a meter at the base, is just large enough for a person to squeeze through. Intriguingly, the window sits directly above the lower limestone block that obstructs the well's path. The well's placement seems counterintuitive, undermining its potential as an obstacle. Furthermore, the well's origin point isn't at the lower chamber's floor level, but rather concealed higher up, deepening the enigma of this stone labyrinth. In truth, the chimney shaft plunges another 8 meters. Egyptologist Ahmed Fakhri noted in 1948 that the shaft's bottom remained unreachable until it was filled in. Independent researcher Kate Hamilton unearthed a fascinating piece in the March 1947 edition of the Illustrated London News. This article stands as the sole documented account of what lies within the shaft. The report detailed an entrance to the lower section, ingeniously concealed with stonework that seamlessly blended with the surrounding rock face. If the shaft does indeed extend approximately 8 meters further down, its deepest point would rest below the floor level of the descending passage. Here we stand, at the base of the bent pyramid, not even halfway up, yet already enveloped in a myriad of mysteries and unsolved enigmas. Turning our attention back to the lower chamber, we observe the tunnel entrance carved into the south wall, positioned roughly 13 meters from the base. The tunnel appeared crude and hastily constructed, a stark contrast to the pyramid's original design. The question of its origin immediately arose, as it was clearly the product of excavation. Many believed the builders themselves had carved the tunnel as the most direct route to the upper chambers. Beginning the excavation 13 meters high on the chamber wall suggested an intimate knowledge of the pyramid's structure. One intriguing detail, however, caught my attention: the striking similarity between the tunnel's entrance and the corridor leading to the upper chamber of the nearby Red Pyramid. Nestled high on the southern face, halfway between the floor and ceiling, lie a pair of tunnels mirroring each other in their placement. One wonders, if secrecy was the architect's intention, why duplicate these entrances across both pyramids? The Red Pyramid presents a puzzle of its own. Its design suggests the possibility that later tomb robbers, upon gaining entry, exploited knowledge gleaned from the pyramid's original construction. If we assume that the connecting tunnel between the bent pyramids was part of the original design, it seems the ancient Egyptians of the Old Kingdom abandoned stealth as a primary defense for their sacred structures. Curiously, this connecting passage takes a subtle eastward bend before aligning westward, eventually meeting the upper horizontal corridor. This intriguing deviation raises questions about the builder's intentions and the secrets these ancient stones continue to hold. Within the intricate labyrinth of pyramid tunnels, much like the well shaft within the Great Pyramid, lie what appear to be intentional course adjustments. One speculation suggests these shifts serve to mitigate the threat of rockfalls, safeguarding the workers below. The meticulous nature of the tunnel's construction also hints that it was not the work of opportunistic looters. Significantly, this connecting tunnel begins beneath the bedrock and ascends into the pyramid's masonry to about halfway up its height. Finally, this tunnel joins the upper horizontal passage at the midpoint of its height, opening just below where the floor was intended to be laid. The horizontal passage acts as a link between the upper entrance on the west side of the bent pyramid and the upper chamber. The upper chamber system would be entirely isolated from the lower one, if not for a connecting tunnel. A curious chimney-like structure near the lower chamber hints at a possible initial connection between the two systems. Journeying westward from the connecting tunnel toward the upper entrance reveals another intriguing detail. A rectangular pit, approximately 4 meters deep, 2.5 meters long, and 1.5 meters wide, carved into the passage floor. The walls of this pit showcase smooth, meticulously crafted masonry, hinting at its deliberate construction. It's believed the pit's floor rests upon the bedrock upon which the pyramid itself stands. A sizable cavity marks the western wall of the shaft, bearing a resemblance to what the top of the Great Pyramid's Grand Gallery might have originally looked like. It's probable that these indentations served as anchor points for ropes, simplifying the movement of heavy objects. Above the shaft, primarily along the western part of the corridor, are 5 pairs of square recesses carved into the walls. The purpose of the notches is believed to be for supporting beams, which were also used to move heavy loads with ropes. Immediately west of the shaft lies a limestone grille, once sealed shut, but now accessible through a hole carved into one of its upper corners. Like a colossal stone trap door, the gate descended diagonally from north to south, disappearing beneath the floor level. This ingenious mechanism stands as one of the defining features of the bent pyramid. It would be 6 centuries before a similar transverse gate design reappeared in another pyramid. The corridor ascended sharply, its incline beginning at approximately 25 degrees before steepening to 30, leading to the upper entrance on the pyramid's west side. John Perring, the pioneer explorer, first discovered this western entry, which in 1839 remained securely sealed by a casing stone. Within the walls where casing stones once rested, 2 semicircular openings reminiscent of the letter D marked the passage. This descending corridor from the upper entrance remained choked with limestone blocks until 1951, when Ahmed Fakhri completed the excavation initially undertaken by Abdul Salam Hussein. In a stroke of misfortune, Hussein's untimely demise in 1949 led to the irretrievable loss of all his notes. Adding to the frustration, Fakhri's poor documentation of the corridor's sealing process left us once again grasping at straws. Vital clues simply vanished. Ironically, even ancient tomb raiders might have offered more insight than these 20th century Egyptologists. Imagine 4,500 years of silent obscurity, a timeless sanctuary preserving the upper corridor's pristine state, perhaps mirroring how all pyramid passages appeared upon their initial construction. Venturing eastward, down this upper passage, several intriguing details catch the eye. Approximately 11 meters from the pyramid's entrance, a seamless joint is discernible across the walls, floor, and ceiling. Furthermore, 2 niches are carved into the inner walls. Echoing the anomaly of the 23-centimeter offset in the lower descending corridor, another irregularity was discovered within the pyramid itself. These peculiarities suggest that the pyramid may have been constructed in stages, gradually expanding outward. Near the end of the descending corridor, in the year 1947, a small sarcophagus was unearthed. Inside rested the mummified remains of a bat and other tiny creatures. Scholars believe this burial dates back to the late period of Egyptian history, placed millennia after the pyramid's construction was complete. At the point where the descending corridor levels out, transitioning into a horizontal plane, another enigmatic pit is found in the floor. The stonework appears perfectly smooth, suggesting it was part of the original design. Within the ancient pyramids, widened passages at corridor turns are a common sight, designed to ease the movement of large objects. However, one particular pit, plunging 1.5 meters deep and stretching just over 1 meter in length, presents an enigma with its peculiar shape. Venturing eastward along a horizontal corridor, explorers encounter a familiar sight: a lowered grill. Carefully, they step over a deep pit, and then they pass a connecting tunnel. Not far beyond lies another transverse grill. This one remains open, and it may be the most important key that the bent pyramid has to offer to those who seek her secrets. A peculiar mechanism, resembling a mirror image of a lowered grate, was designed to slide from south to north. I've never had the opportunity to observe the reverse side of this open grate, where it is believed a square locking block secures it. The other locking block, holding the closed grate, is clearly visible, although my photographic record of it is quite limited. A tall person with a selfie stick could potentially capture the area behind the open grate, and I humbly appeal to a kind observer for assistance. A few yards east of the open grate, we enter the upper chamber, where a ceiling block is angled to ease passage. A small pit gapes in the floor, hinting at the upper chamber, though it's not deep. Scorched marks tell a tale. This is the work of looters, not part of the original design. A solid stone wall stands between you and the upper chamber. Once, at the time of the initial discovery, the space before it was filled with small, square limestone blocks, making the ascent easier. Now only a scattering of these blocks remain, replaced by modern ladders. Ascending the staircase, one discovers a vast hall, tragically marred by the passage of time. The once square ceiling consoles are now almost unrecognizable, weathered into a cavernous semblance of their former glory. The uppermost console is barely discernible, as is the original timber beam that once steadfastly supported the roof. Deeper within the chamber, a scaffold-like structure looms, assembled from sturdy wooden logs. Historical records indicate that by 1839, this space was nearly entirely filled with rubble, save for an exploratory trench that plunged 4 meters deep. John Paring, with a hint of melancholy, observed the site's utter ruin. Inside, remnants of brickwork clung to the walls on 2 distinct levels, hinting at a long-lost floor or ceiling, depending on one's perspective. It was once speculated that a timber framework had been erected to reinforce the chamber when structural weaknesses emerged. Yet a closer examination revealed this to be improbable. The timbers were embedded in the masonry in such a way that their contribution to the structure's stability appeared negligible. The disintegration of the upper chamber's consoles remains shrouded in mystery, leaving any interpretation of the chamber's quirks as structural compensation purely speculative. Whispers persist of a painted cartouche depicting a sniffing root discovered near the upper chamber's base, though its precise location eludes confirmation. Even now, this account feels lengthy, yet we've only scratched the surface of the bent pyramid's enigmas. Hopefully, I've offered a foundation for contemplation and sparked your curiosity about its perplexing design. Confronted by a myriad of enigmas, many researchers simply concede defeat, proposing that the bent pyramid was merely a failed architectural experiment. However, this facile explanation is hardly convincing and provides no definitive answers. Intriguingly, the internal architecture of the bent pyramid bears a striking resemblance to that of the Great Pyramid, and I have yet to encounter a scholar who would dismiss the latter as a colossal failure. A debt of gratitude is owed to the ISETA project for granting the opportunity to scrutinize the bent pyramid's inner chambers in detail before tourist-driven renovations obscured numerous crucial elements. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments regarding which aspects of the bent pyramid you find most compelling.